Hey everyone, I'm the Idea Maker, and today I'm going to be giving my non-spoiler review on Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts. And the first thing that I want to get off of my chest is how impactful this movie was for me. I just want to say this was a movie that when it first got announced, I was not expecting for this movie to be the um, the highlight of Phase 5. Originally, I said Captain America Brave New World was my favorite. After seeing Thunderbolts, though, I'm going to admit this ended up becoming my favorite out of Phase 5. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I do want to give my reasons as to why this became my favorite out of Phase 5. First of all, as you guys have known, I have been going through a lot right now, and I'm still shocked, realistically, about my grandmother's passing. I didn't think it was gonna happen, and this movie does talk a lot about different serious issues, and there are going to be a little bit of serious talks on here, where I do think that it's important for you guys to at least know and acknowledge that there are some serious topics and serious issues that I think that it's important for people to address. I don't talk about them a lot because it's something that I think that, not a lot of people would expect to hear from a channel like this. But as I want to also give a little bit of my own personal testimony about how I ended up becoming a Christian, because that leads into a lot of what I see on here. Thunderbolts is a superhero movie that redefines superhero movie, because this isn't about superheroes. A lot of this is about misfits, and it's about people who are trying to find their life or their way in life, and they're trying to at least find this ground that they feel like they could at least walk and then run. I think that one of the most important things out of Thunderbolts is that this does discuss the topics of death, of grieving over somebody's death, feeling alone, anxiety, depression, addiction, identity, self-worth. And I think that this is something that needs to be addressed. Because yes, I feel like it does get talked about in other Marvel movies, but it doesn't get talked about enough. I think Thunderbolts was the perfect blend of seriousness with comedy. This does a great job with the writing portion of it. I think that it really shows the human side of what it means to be an anti-hero, a hero, because these characters, they go from so much that you'd be wondering how is Marvel going to do it to where these characters are going to be a lot more liked. And that's what I really liked about this movie, is that it really makes me like these characters, a better majority of them, more. For example, I already liked Yelena, but Florence Pugh does an incredible job with not only humanizing Yelena a lot more than she already was in Black Widow and Hawkeye, but I honestly feel like Thunderbolts is the entry that makes her, or in this case, makes me convinced she is the next Black Widow out of the Avengers. And I know the Thunderbolts are their own team, but if they had for her to join the official Avengers, I think that she'd be a great addition. Like, if anything, if there are some team mergers that happen, I do believe that she is the best fit. I definitely believe that she's the best fit. I definitely want to give her as the number one spot as one of my favorites. I know that everybody talked about Lewis Pullman as Robert Reynolds, aka Sentry, And I just want to say, he is amazing in this. He's not only funny, but I also think that he does bring a very, very sinister side to the Void, or Sentry's darker half. I think that, honestly, it did scare me. Like, his darker half legitimately scared me, thinking, what is this dude going to do? Because, as we saw in the trailer, of that, you have Sentry and then you have the Void. I think that Lewis Pullman does an incredible job at not only being like this soft, timid person when it comes to his tone of voice, when it comes to his facial expressions, but I also feel like when he's the Void, he brings this darker feel that I can't even fathom and can't even imagine. And just having to channel in your pain and your trauma that you felt over the years and then bringing it out. I thought that it really, really made me think about... I think that there's a line that Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, I'm going to get their name right. I think there's a line in it that I remember that she says something along the lines of, we grow up to think that there's good guys and there's bad guys. But in the end of everything, there's the bad guy and then there's the worst guy. I think, in a sense, I believe that to be somewhat true. Reason why I believe that is because I feel like when we're born, in a Christian standpoint, when we're born with sin. But the only way that we could be able to exalt that sin from our lives is accepting Jesus into our hearts and having this relationship between ourselves and Him. But I also feel like it's also important to address the fact that, yes, there is that aspect of things, but I do feel like even though that we have this amount of sin in our lives that we just keep building up and building up, I don't think that that's what makes us bad. I don't think that sin is what's going to make us terrible people. I feel like personally, sin is something that we do because we want to be able to fill in this void in our lives. And we want to find this thing of security. When we don't know God, we want to find this security. We want to be able to find this common ground. We want to be able to find this sense of comfort because we're so drawn into what life throws at us, to the point that sometimes when we get too comfortable, it just makes us numb to everything. Like if we get numb to instances that they talk about in this, like I said, they talk about a lot of things like anxiety, self-worth, depression, addiction, domestic violence, death, grieving for somebody's death, being alone. We get used to it and we feel numb. But then we also think to ourselves, are we actually truly numb? And there's a part in it too also that I liked, that Bob, or Sentry or whatever, he asked Yelena, he asked, how is it that you can deal with all of this? Like, how do you deal with it? Like, how do you deal with pain? How do you deal with trauma? And at first she says, what I like to do is what I usually do is that I push it all the way down. and I push it as far down as I can and not think about it anymore. I think realistically, that's what we all do. And I hate to admit it, but I've been doing so myself. That line got me thinking. And when I went to go see this movie with my friends, I really enjoyed it. Absolutely. I absolutely enjoyed Thunderbolts. But the more that I started thinking about that line, I really started thinking about Yelena's initial advice. And I do think that I have pushed down a lot. I think that, in my personal experience, I think that I've pushed down a lot of what kind of trauma was thrown at me. I remember my grandmother asking me at one point, when she was alive, a couple years before she passed, and she asked me, "Are you doing okay?" I was just so bothered by the fact that my grandmother almost bled to death at one point, and I just remembered saying I was fine. I did tell her about this later on, before she passed, luckily. I didn't realize I was keeping all that trauma to a point where I couldn't handle it anymore, and I just broke down one day. And I just said, "No, remember," I said, "Grandma, remember when I told you that I was okay?" And then I told her, "No, I'm actually not okay, because I just am scared that something's going to happen to you one day, and I don't know what to do. I don't know where this is going to take me, and I don't know if I'm gonna be okay. And I know that one day we're all gonna die, but I am scared that you're gonna die at a point where I'm not gonna be okay." And she said that wasn't gonna happen. Unfortunately, it did happen. As you know, we can't unfortunately predict how long we're gonna live, and I wish that we could. And immortality isn't a thing, and I wish that there could have been something better. That I wish that there could have been a better way for us to indicate the signs, and I think every single one of us denied it, and that happened. I gotta admit, I think after my grandmother's passing, I think I suppressed that trauma, and I kept pushing it down. Everybody sometimes keeps asking me, "You all right?" And I keep saying, yeah. I keep saying, yes, I'm all right. But honestly, I don't think I could still get over the fact that my grandmother's gone. I don't think that I can. There was this weird nagging feeling at one point where I thought, why do I feel like someone's gonna die? And I had that feeling for like 2-3 years. Like, it was nagging me and nagging me. I thought, is it my grandfather? Is it my mom? Is it me? Is it my grandmother? I thought, which one of us is it? I don't know why. I had that weird feeling before my grandmother passed. When I found out it was my grandmother, I thought, I was just left in a state of shock. And then sometimes I ask myself, am I completely broken? I can't cry at the times that I want to. There are times where I just don't know how to feel. And I think what Thunderbolts did for me is not only say that it's okay not to feel okay, but it's also okay to let people in and to let them be there for you. To let them know that they're there for you. and to let people know that you do not have to be okay to be okay. And what I liked is that Yelena also observes, and not just her, every single one of them observes that when you go through something, there is going to be a part of you that dies. You're not going to be able to fully recover because we're those that we can't fully recover. We unfortunately aren't God to where we could be able to recover from loss or any of these other different topics. And I think that that's what the most important thing is from it. What I also feel like was what made me sold on this message, and that it didn't feel like a PSA, but it felt more like, it didn't feel like a cheap PSA. It felt like a legitimate story that covers these topics. But I also feel like the chemistry between everybody legitimately felt like if they were a legit family. This felt like Guardians of the Galaxy, to where you had Yelena, you had Red Guardian, you had Bucky, you had Ava, and you had John Walker. I think the chemistry between these 5 actors did an incredible job selling it to me that they were a family of misfits. And I know Red Guardian kept trying to sell that to everybody. And I definitely believe that the Thunderbolts are a legitimate family. They are a misfit family. They're literally the island of misfit toys, but in a way where it's very, very believable. The chemistry between Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Sebastian Stan, Wyatt Russell, and Hannah John Kamen, it was sold. For me, it was sold like a legitimate Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And I love Guardians of the Galaxy, but Thunderbolts to me is the human, like the street level / human characters of like equivalents of Guardians of the Galaxy. And of course, Guardians of the Galaxy is like is the cosmic family. Okay, they're the space family. But the first family, Fantastic Four, they're always going to be, of course, like the first family. And to me, the X-Men are the mutant family. And I don't remember which YouTube channel said, think about it like this, but the Avengers are not technically a family. It was either, I don't remember if, I'm sorry if my avatar starts glitching all of a sudden. But I also want to say, I remember there was either a Reddit post or a YouTube channel that said they're not technically a family. The Avengers are not technically a family, and to some degree, I could actually agree with that. I don't think they are. They have their own separate missions, but they're not there like always in that same area. Cause think about it. When the Avengers would team up, they were more of a team. And I think if there can be any improvement, because Iron Man would have his own missions, Captain America would have his own missions, Black Widow would have her own missions, Hawkeye, same, Thor, same, Hulk, same. They would all be in different places. They wouldn't all be living in Avengers Tower compared to other different iterations of them, like in Avengers Assemble or Earth's Mightiest Heroes or Future Avengers or Disc War Avengers. I think this version they're more of like colleagues, they're more of like team members. They're not really a family. And I think what Thunderbolts does well is, like I said, they're a family of rejected people. Like, they went through trauma. They've literally went through the mud got as dirty as possible, and as like the prodigal son in the Bible, came back into to a sense of like they came back to this world to where now they're going to be heroes, are and going to be. I mean, I put in the same category, but like this is literally an underdog story. All of them get their equal amount of shine. I know that you guys are wondering about Taskmaster. I'm not gonna reveal much. But how could I don't know. There's not a lot realistically on Taskmaster. I hate to say it. I wish there was more, way more. But no, I unfortunately do feel bad that there was not that much. I wish that we got more of Bucky, but I think the story worked the way that it did. I want to say that for Thunderbolts, not only was the message clear, but I think that this is a game changer for those who they're going through trauma, and it definitely did something for me. I'm so happy with what Thunderbolts was able to deliver. I think Marvel did an incredible job with it. I think that what was his name? Director Jake Schreier, I think, did an incredible job with directing it. It didn't feel like a superhero movie until it hit Sentry's scenes. That's where I was like, okay, this is a superhero movie now. It felt more like a big budget indie film, like an A24 film. Even though I haven't watched an A24 film myself, it just gave me those type of vibes. And I think that it worked very well with something like Thunderbolts, because a lot of these a lot of these crew members and some of these cast members actually have already been working on A24 movies. I mean, we had Florence Pugh in Midsommar. We had Julia Louis-Dreyfus in You Hurt My Feelings. Sebastian Stan in A Different Man. And honestly, there's been a lot of I know that the composers, Son Lux, that they were the composers for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I still need to watch. I feel like, there's been people who have been working on A24 movies, like those who are in cinematography. I think even the director did an A24 project, if I'm correct. If I'm correct, I want to say that he did. Oh, no, he didn't. Okay, so I was wrong about that one. But honestly, I think, well, actually, he did work on Beef, which that was not only Netflix, but that was also A24. But you know what? I honestly feel like this movie did an incredible job with making it not only feel like an A24 movie, but it also kind of felt. I just felt like Disney didn't do this one. I felt like they didn't make this one, and it's the right type of feeling, because I wanted for Thunderbolts to feel different. I thought that for a second too when this movie got announced. I thought, this movie is literally Marvel's Suicide Squad. After watching it, no, it didn't feel like it at all. This did not feel like a Suicide Squad movie. This actually felt more like a Guardians of the Galaxy story, but the human side of it. Sure, you have 3 super soldiers. I mean, you have Bucky, Red Guardian, and John Walker. And then you have Ghost, and then you have Yelena. But I honestly feel like this movie was done correctly. I only had one problem with this movie. Only one. And it was with Taskmaster. Other than that, you'll find out when you watch the movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but had something to do with Taskmaster. But honestly, this movie sold it for me. It legitimately sold the team. Their dynamic, their chemistry, them working with each other. I think this was done correctly. There was no other way that I feel like this would have worked. I think that they did an incredible job with everything. But also to give you a little bit of heads up, I had even more of a blast with this movie because I was watching this in 40x 3D. And this was a fun experience. We went to a different 40x theater for this one, and dude, the amount of movement that was happening during the movie was ridiculously insane. I absolutely enjoyed myself. I felt like this felt like a roller coaster, legitimately. The chairs moved more in this one than in the other experience for Captain America Brave New World. And I gotta admit, this is so fun. You know, we're gonna definitely do this for Fantastic Four First Steps. I really am so excited about it. Fantastic Four, to me, actually is my most anticipated Marvel movie of this year. Because I love Fantastic Four. That was my first superhero movie back in 2007 with Rise of the Silver Surfer, and I cannot say that movie was terrible. I stand by it when I say it's my favorite Fantastic Four movie, and then it's going to be Fantastic Four from 2005, and then Fantastic Four from 2015 is a dead last. I think First Steps is going to beat all of this. When you go see this movie, there is a mid-credit scene and there's a post-credit scene. So the mid-credit scene, it's more of it's kind of not like, I wouldn't say that it's a throwaway. I just say it's like a funny sort of gag that is mentioned in the movie and they kind of bring it back. The post-credit scene is very, very important. It's one of those where I think that it's up there. I'd say if you thought the Marvels was not important, buddy, you were wrong. It's definitely important. If you thought, if you think that Loki Season 2 was not important, you're wrong. If you think Captain America Brave New World isn't important, you're definitely wrong. They do reference it in this movie several times. I will say they reference it a little in the movie, but then in the post-credit scene, they do reference it a bit too. But this definitely sets up something bigger. It definitely feels like a legitimate lead up to Doomsday. This really, really does. And I'm so excited that it's leading to Doomsday the way that it is. I'm not going to tell you how. I definitely want you guys to see it for yourself. But my theater got excited when at the end of the post-credit scene. They got so excited. I thought, you know what? We are in for a treat. I'm not going to say we are back. Because I don't think Marvel never really left. They never left. But I am excited for this movie. I definitely am excited for Doomsday even more. I don't think we're going to get another movie between Fantastic Four and Doomsday, which is very, very interesting. I was talking about this with my friend last night. But, you know, this is going to be a very interesting idea. And I'm alright with it. Totally alright with it. But you know what? I am excited to see what more is going to happen. Doomsday is going to be a big, big project. It's going to have a lot of big shoes to fill. But I am excited. I definitely am excited for Doomsday. And I think this is going to be one of the most fun experiences since Infinity War and Endgame. So I really am. I'm hyped. I'm really hyped. For me, I think I would give this movie like a 9.5 out of 10, my opinion. Especially if I'm basing it off of stuff that I've been personally through. This is a 9.5 out of 10. If I wasn't doing so, I would give this an 8.5 out of 10. Mostly because I think it brings it down by one whole point, because I feel like one thing that they could have done a little bit better is, actually no, actually I would give it a 9. 9.5 is because of how relatable it is. 9 because of Taskmaster. You'll see why. There's nothing wrong with Taskmaster, but it's just what they do to the character that made me think, nope, I don't like this. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching my non-spoiler review on Thunderbolts. I know this is a story time / non-spoiler review. I hope you guys are excited for seeing it. If you guys have not seen this movie yet, please go watch Marvel Studios Thunderbolts right now. I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. It is a funny, heartfelt journey that I think that you guys are going to be definitely excited on getting to see more of into the future. If you guys want to see more videos like this, then please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to follow me on any of my social media, I got Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, aka X, my Discord, my Discord server, and I will also leave in the description below any websites and any hotlines for resources for mental health awareness, for any type of hotlines for any type of counseling, for if you guys need any mental health. If you guys need any prayer, please leave prayer requests down below. I just feel like you guys are need as much. If you guys need the help, I think you guys deserve it, especially as, you know, Christians. We're supposed to be offering prayer for those who need it. And I feel like the little thing before I leave, one thing that I do want to say is that this is definitely a movie where it makes you feel like the song "Place in This World" by Michael W. Smith, where, you know, where it goes, looking for a reason, roaming through the night to find my place in this world. Not a lot to lean on. I need your light to help me find my place in this world. And I think as Christians, I think that we need to offer the help. And if we're supposed to be serving others like how the Lord serves unto us, then we need to take those steps. So prayer requests, if you guys need any, please leave them in the comments. Any resources and I hate to get into these topics, addiction, suicide prevention, mental health awareness, you guys will definitely get those links in the description below in case if you guys do need any type of resource. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you all. Stay safe, and I will see you all in the next videos. Bye, guys.